Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk a bit about the Indiespensable edition of the Best of McSweeney's. Indiespensable number 44, put out by Powell's Portland. And the Indiespensable edition of the Best of McSweeney's is not a special edition of the book per se. It is a special signing of the retail edition. Um, the word edition is a very slippery word, uh, uh, but in this case we have the Indiespensable Special Edition is a specially signed retail edition for Indiespensable subscribers. The box included a little sheet from Indiespensable and Powell's people, talking a little bit about selection number 44, the Best of McSweeney's. Talk a little bit about what was in the box, how they put it together. So we have a little sheet from Powell's and Indiespensable. It also came with a sheet from McSweeney's. Very important sheet. It says, "Dearest reader, this certificate does what certificates do best. It certifies something. In this case, it certifies that you, one of the most handsome and sweetest smelling Indiespensable members, are now in receipt of one of the world's first copies of the Best of McSweeney's, a book which compresses the first 45 issues of that great and fearsome journal, like so many oranges and cucumbers, into a tall glass of readerly delight. Please enjoy responsibly." So you're not complete without the certificate. Without the certificate, it's just an unofficial book. So if I've got several books here, and before I show them, I want to kind of cover what you should expect with an Indiespensable Best of McSweeney's. I get a reasonable number of inquiries from booksellers that know that I specialize in McSweeney's and have a question about a point of issue or signature, or is there something I know about a particular book. I get asked about this book more than anything else. More than anything else. And the reason is, I think I'm a subscriber to Indiespensable now, but I wasn't then. It's very hard to get in. It's limited and closed, and it's hard to get a subscription. But I think the book went out without comment as to what the signatures were on it. It is signed 6 times. And most people don't know what the signatures are, including most booksellers. But if the bookseller, they've got hundreds of books and they've got thousands of books, if they don't specialize in McSweeney's, there's no reason to expect a bookseller to know what signatures are there. So I get asked about Best of McSweeney's fairly frequently, and I see listings all the time when these are for sale. Signed 6 times, or signed 6 times with Dave Eggers. They may not even know which one is Dave Eggers, but they know Dave Eggers is on there somewhere. It's all they know. But I do get inquiries from people that want to actually know what they actually have. and I'm happy to help when I can. So this edition was signed 6 times, and there are 2 variants. Each person that signed, for the most part, each person that signed had a spot that they signed in. And they signed, every copy they signed in that spot. There are some exceptions, but the first 2 copies I'm going to show you are examples of really primo, perfect examples. But there are 2 variants. Peter Orner signed about half of the copies, and Ben Hahn signed about half of the copies, and they signed in the same place. And when I get to it, I'll show you where they signed. But in that location will be either Peter Orner or Ben Hahn. I've never seen a copy that had both. Copy has one or the other in the same location. So there are 2 variants. And there are copies out there where some signatures aren't in their typical location, and I will talk about them while I show the page. There were a couple of signatures, most notably Arthur Bradford, especially, didn't always sign in his spot, and his signature typically does not look near as good if he didn't sign in his usual spot. And Jess Walter, sometimes signed up a little higher. I don't really know why. His signature looks good either way, whether it's in his usual spot or whether it's been pushed up. His signature looks fine either way. Although these first 2 copies I'm going to show you are really prime examples. And it's also worth noting, for people that don't know, there are 2 jacket variants for Best of McSweeney's. We have one here, got a water tower on the front cover, and we've got a neon, the Best of McSweeney's, an electric neon. And the back cover, as is common with McSweeney's, and particularly with McSweeney's large books, has a large peel-off sticker. Sticker's not been peeled off of this copy or off of any of my copies, but has a large peel-off sticker, very common on McSweeney's books. I typically do not like the large stickers because they are typically pretty crummy quality. They shelfware terrible. John Sayles, A Moment in the Sun. Try to find a nice copy of that with a sticker still on it. But I digress, as I am wont to do. So anyway, this is one variant of the jacket, the water tower. And this is the other jacket variant. We've got a work crew putting up a billboard, poster board for McSweeney's on the front cover. And here we have another sort of neon sign type look, the Best of McSweeney's. And the scene on the back cover is a little different. And the dust jacket on this book unfolds into a huge double-sided poster. Really nice jacket. Maybe the best dust jacket McSweeney's has done. The dust jacket on issue 13 shelf wears just from looking at it. As nice as a fold out jacket it is, it shelf wears from the minute you look at it. Same with issue 23, had a really nice fold out double-sided poster dust jacket. Also shelf wears horribly. This dust jacket is really nice. And they're using a smoother stock, which is possibly part of it, but a much nicer poster size dust jacket than I've ever seen them use before. And the only difference between the two is how the jacket is folded. On the inside, or on the other side, if you unfold it, of the water tower, on the other side of that will be the billboard. And on the other side of this one is the water tower. So it's just a question of how they folded the dust jacket as to which side is facing out. Really cool design, really well done. I love everything about this dust jacket. Now back to the Indiespensable. This copy is a really nice example, about as nice as you can ask for. Sign time 6. We have good separation between all of the signatures. Everybody has their own space. Everybody can sign their signature in their style. If this had been just a couple of years before, I don't even know if they could have done this, because Dave Egger's signature for a while there was just outrageously large. And the last several years, he's been dialing back the size of it. It looks much better now that he's backed off on the size of it. This is still fairly large, but it doesn't hurt anything here, and it's a really nice example. So up top we have Andrew Sean Greer. Andrew Sean Greer signed at the top on every single copy. Every single copy I've seen, or every single copy in my image library. Next down we have Peter Orner. And if it's not Peter Orner, then it's Ben Hahn. And based on the copies I've had in my hands, based on my image library, based on the endless number of listings that I've seen, they each signed about half the copies. I've never seen a copy where they both signed. Here we have Jess Walter. Once in a while, Jess Walter will sign up here a little bit, and typically not for any reason that I can see. There have been a couple copies where Egger signed up higher, and it looks like maybe he pushed Jess Walter up. But for the most part, when he hasn't signed here, I don't understand why not. He sometimes signs here. I've even seen a couple where he signed up in between here where there's a little more space, and they went three down there. But this is the most common location for Jess Walter. Here we have Arthur Bradford. This is Arthur Bradford's spot. Typical signature. On a fair number of copies, he did not sign here. I consider this his spot because, in my opinion, he signed most copies in this spot. But he signed quite a few copies in this bottom corner here. bottom left corner. And for the most part, I don't understand why. Now, there are a couple of copies out. I've seen copies out there where Eggers couldn't control his signature and he signed higher up on the page, or he signed all the way across the page and shoved Arthur Bradford off the edge of the page. So I've seen a couple of copies where Bradford's been shoved off the page by Eggers' signature. But for the most part, when he has a sign here, there's been no reason for it. And he signed down in this corner. And for the most part, when he signs in this corner, his signature does not look good. His signature, more often than not, looks terrible. Now, I've seen some nice Arthur Bradford signatures where he signed in the corner here, but I've seen some truly horrendous Arthur Bradford signatures. And for no reason that I can see, that he wouldn't just sign in his usual spot. So I don't know what's up with that. We have Dave Eggers, typical Dave Eggers signature. Fairly large, but smaller than it used to be, and back to looking like a pretty nice signature. Big, bold. For a while, it was just big. There was nothing bold about it. I really don't care for these huge signatures. He styled it back a lot. His signature now, for the most part, is smaller than this, but looks really, really nice. But anyway, for this size, it's a nice Dave Eggers. And then down here we have, somehow, Jordan Bass. I don't know how you get Jordan Bass out of those squiggles, but that is Jordan Bass. So this is an excellent copy. Lots of room for everybody to sign. Nice examples of everyone's signature. Really nice example. This one is the other variant. It's also a very nice example where everybody signed in their spot. There is room for everybody to make their mark in their own style. Really good looking page. Here we have Ben Hahn and not Peter Warner. And as I said, I think about half the copies are Peter Warner and about half the copies are Ben Hahn. They both signed in exactly the same place. I've never seen a copy with both signatures. This copy this copy is okay. We've got the Ben Hahn variant here. So we've got the same 6 signatures. We've got the Ben Hahn variant instead of Peter Warner. Inexplicably, Arthur Bradford is not signed in his spot, and there's plenty of room. But we've got Arthur Bradford down here in the corner. It's a mess. It's terrible. Now, I have seen some nice Arthur Bradford signatures down in the corner. He did do some nice ones. But overall, I think when he signed down in this corner, his signatures aren't that nice. I don't know if it's a question of handedness or angle. It's a very thick book, so that could be a factor. more often than not, when you sign in that bottom corner, the signature is not going to look very nice. Although I have seen some good ones, but this is this is Arthur Bradford when he signs in the corner. Here we have Jess Walter in his usual spot, but I have seen copies where he signed up here, and I have seen copies where they've gone with 3 signatures on the top, and he signed in the middle. I have one more copy to show, and it's an unusual copy. For me, it's unusual in a bad way. It's signed 5 times. It slipped by. Didn't get signed by everybody. Most people that want the signed book aren't going to care. They want the author's signatures. This one has, in fact, actually, this is a really good example for several reasons. One, we do have Jess Walter where they've gone 3 from the top. 1, 2, 3. This is a Peter Orner variant. For whatever reason, Jess Walter didn't sign where he usually signed. This is one where he signed up higher. I've seen him sign in here, and I've seen him sign in here, but it's not typical. We have a shockingly good Arthur Bradford signature in the bottom corner. Again, why he didn't sign in his usual spot over here, I don't know. That's a nice Arthur Bradford signature. And an Arthur Bradford signature in this corner is as nice as you're ever going to see. But we're missing Jordan Bass. Somehow, Jordan Bass didn't sign his copy. He is on the title page credited, edited by Dave Eggers and Jordan Bass. For me, the 2 most important signatures to have on this book would be Dave Eggers and Jordan Bass. In part because the other signatures are more gettable. They're authors. They sign things. You can get the other signatures if you want them. Jordan Bass is an editor primarily, an executive. You're not gonna see his. He's a behind the scenes guy as far as signings go. The average person that picks up a signed copy, they don't care whether there's 5 signatures or 6 signatures. They don't even care if they don't know who the hell the signatures are. Because most copies for sale, the sellers don't even know who they are. I think it's unfortunate that this one does not have the Jordan Bass signature. Very few copies do not have it. It was a mistake. Just got by. So it's scarce, but I wouldn't call it scarce in a good way. But this copy does show the Arthur Bradford down in the corner, and it shows it was actually a good signature, which is uncommon. And it does show the Jess Walter in the alternate location. So I told myself that I should keep the 2 perfect copies and sell the other 2. But for reference purposes, can I bring myself to giving up the other 2? Probably not. So anyway, there you go. That's 25 minutes of the Indiespensable edition of the best of McSweeney's. I could probably go on, but you would probably rather I stopped if you haven't left already. Anyway, wake up. Wake up. I'm done.